gotcha. We gotcha. So today on the Adventures of the Albino Rhino, guys, we bring you a man who has truly been on an adventure. Seriously, if you look at this man's IMDb credits, he has been in everything all the way back to when Moses was knee-high to a duck. Not calling him old, just saying he is a very versatile guy who has done a lot of stuff. Today we get the pleasure of bringing you guys Mr. Larry Hankin.
Who?
Nice.
Larry Hankin. I don't know. I don't know that name. I know the face. The name.
Well, a lot of people.
That's him. That's him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why a lot of people say that, because it's not like you've been a super huge star in every single thing you've done.
Yeah.
But with me personally, one of my all-time favorite movies was Escape from Alcatraz.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of my favorites too.
Fucking
That's a good movie.
I watch that movie at least once a year. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
The story is awesome. I mean, it's, basically Shawshank Redemption, but the original version.
Yes, true.
and it's just, man, it was so good.
I haven't. The only trivia I have about that movie is that A, it was real. It's based on a real story. But B, no, they didn't make it. Everybody is wondering, did they make it? Did they not make it? And the plethora of evidence is no.
No,
There was no way. And the actual reason was because of the current.
Mm-hmm.
The current at the time that they escaped, which was 11 o'clock at night, the current was going out, and under that bridge, because I used to live there, or I used to live right near the bridge.
Right.
That the current under that bridge is amazingly strong. So if they headed this way, they would have just kept going right out to sea. Right out to sea.
Well, there's only one actual known escape attempt from Alcatraz that actually succeeded. It was a single individual guy whenever Alcatraz was first made Alcatraz. It was very, very early on in its history, and the guy basically just walked out.
That seems like plausible.
So the reason why Alcatraz became the rock that it became was because of that guy. The federal government was so pissed that this dude basically just walked out of Alcatraz and then swam across the fucking bay like he fucking could do whatever he wanted. They were like, "Oh no,
no, wait a minute.
No,
Did he swim across the bay?
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
So, but sharks were around a long time ago. I mean, I used to swim there.
That's the story. That's the story, is that
really?
He had,
Wow.
that he swam all the way across, supposedly made it out. They ended up, I think, catching him a couple of years later because, he was a hardcore criminal. He wasn't going to stop. He was like, I just beat the rock.
Well, if the tide was coming in, then he could have made it if he swam around the sharks and stuff. I once swam halfway to Alcatraz because I didn't look back, so I didn't know how far I was swimming. I just kept swimming, and when I looked back, I got so scared. The people were. I mean, I was halfway to Alcatraz, and then I had to get back. I just turned around and swam back. I mean, it's really scary to be that far out into this bay and know there are sharks around. And so that guy was, crazy, but brave, or just plain crazy.
One thing I know about
think
being in
about
the ocean, the ocean does not give a shit.
No. The ocean and sharks do not care who or what you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, shark attacks happen literally just because they're like, is that food? That might be food. I'm going to take a bite of it and just see if I can eat it. Right. I can eat it. And by that time, they're like,
let me just try to bump it. Just
see if this bleeds.
Once. Just let me just see. But I'm telling you, I've been watching Shark Week, on TV. So it comes home to me. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, it's not a worry I'm really ever gonna have. As people who follow the show know, me being an albino, I'm not getting in the fucking ocean because of just the sun. I mean, that's always there. I don't give a shit about the aquatic life, man. That stuff means nothing. Although,
right. Before
although,
you get to the water.
yeah, well, we recently had this guest though that's rebuilding the orca for shark research around Martha's Vineyard, and I mean I'm gonna have to
Oh,
break
wow.
my no boat rule whenever
Mhm.
he starts doing tours for that, because man, I'm a Jaws fan, huge Jaws fan, and to
Oh,
be able to
yeah,
like
yeah.
ride around Amity Island in the orca and be shown the great whites, that would be. I've been whale watching. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
that in
well, I guess
The
so. Those are,
Chesapeake Bay. That was really cool. You know, you got all the military ships and stuff around, and whales, and it's pretty badass. So, how's life treating you, Larry? I mean, I know I follow a lot of comics that are living out in your area, and quite a few of them have decided we're getting the fuck out of LA.
I mean, well, where are they going to go?
Well, one
I
of the
mean,
guys
because
is
of the
going back
COVID, I
home.
think.
Well, yeah, the fact that you know, 1 week a club will be open, the next week it's shut down, then you can
Oh,
do it
yeah. Oh,
outside.
that.
It's just there's so much. It's so honky how the government's handling everything. It's not so much the virus. By now, I guess they all know a lot of people who have had it, so they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever happens with that. But I mean, they can't
They
work.
don't care, is what you're
Mhm.
trying to say.
Yeah, basically,
Right.
they're
They
ready
don't
for it
give
to
a
happen.
F.
Yeah, they're just ready. They don't want to get other people sick, but they don't give a fuck if they get it at this point. They're like, we think we know what to do, whatever. But like,
Well, I think the statistics are there's more people have died of COVID than I think, maybe the Vietnam War or a couple of
Mhm.
wars, actually. Okay, so that's cool. But I think the statistics don't seem that bad. I don't know, maybe 2% of the population have died.
Right.
So they take 2%. But 2% of the population
It's pretty
is an
huge.
incredible number, man.
Right.
yeah, it's fucking huge. But I
So
mean,
they're just throwing around 2. The number 2 is what they're looking at.
well, yeah, most people don't.
It's like
They don't want to think
nuts,
about the
man.
big number. They want to think about the
Yeah.
small number.
Well,
But I mean, like
yeah.
some people, you know, like Joey Diaz is going to be moving back to Jersey because he's just like, what am I doing here? Like, it's crazy as fuck. He's like, even without the COVID, it's fucking crazy. He's like, there's people on my street shooting guns all the time of the night and all. He's like, I got a house in Jersey. What am I doing here? You know, Rogan's leaving. There's a lot of guys who are leaving, you know, that are in my comedy sphere. Uh, you know, are you experiencing the same kind of insanity out there in California, man? I mean,
No, not really. Because one is I'm sequestered. I can't go out
Mhm.
because of the COVID thing. When I
Right.
do go out, I wear gloves and masks and shades. But so that's the extent of it. But the craziness, the insanity that you're talking about is I live 4 blocks from the beach.
Mhm.
I live in Santa Monica.
Right.
Well, on Saturdays and Sundays, it's the beach, and people don't give an F about anything.
Yeah.
They're in their bathing suits, and I don't look good in a bathing suit and a mask.
Me
So
neither,
nobody
don't feel
wears
bad.
masks around here. So I go out and I'm the weird guy. I got gloves and a mask on and nobody else does. But they all are not from around here. The parking lots are filled. So
Right.
it's obviously, I don't think people in Santa Monica go to the beach. I mean, they walk maybe, or they walk their dog on the beach maybe. But I don't think they get, into bathing suits and go swimming, maybe during the week, because during the week, the beaches are pretty well naked. They're bare. There's nobody there.
Mhm.
So you can do anything you want. You can walk on the beach and blah, blah, blah. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I would say 60% of the people don't have masks, which to me, because I have gray hair,
Mhm.
that's like that's a signal that, be careful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the insanity is, I heard somebody say the other day, I don't wear a mask because I don't care about you. I just care about me, which is basically what they're all thinking.
Right.
And that's kind of a weird take on a disease.
It's
I
an
don't
awkward
care about
mentality.
you. I just care
Yeah.
about me. And if I wear a mask, if I wear a mask, I'm not prevented from getting it. I'm prevented from giving it to somebody.
Mhm.
So that's where his logic comes from. Well, if I wear a mask, it just doesn't prevent me from getting it. So I'm not wearing one. Doesn't matter, right? I'll
Yeah.
get sick anyway. I mean, the logic going around the United States right now just doesn't make me, it doesn't make me think that we're going to survive
I
as a
get it.
Well, and
species
Yeah.
and
in the
that's a
next
lot of the
100 or
same.
200 years.
And that's a lot of the same stuff, I'm hearing from the people that I listen to who are leaving LA. They're like, you don't hear anything, you hear everything from the government about wear a mask so you can protect others. Well, just tell people they protect themselves. They don't give a shit about other people. That. But beyond the mask thing, like, you really don't hear anybody talking about what you can do to mitigate it for yourself.
Well,
I'm honestly great.
sequester,
Well, even
wash
if
your, don't go to indoor events. I mean,
Yeah.
there are things you can do, but people don't ignore that. I see people standing in the middle of the street here drinking because they can't go. It's bad to go inside the bar. So
Right.
now the police saying, oh, okay, the bar's got to stay in business so you can drink on the street. So I see these huddled about like 20 or 30 people standing in the middle of the street. There's a block from the beach, so there's not much traffic. They're just going into parking. So there's no danger in
Right.
standing in the street. But they're just standing in the street with liquor, with no masks. Just hanging. I walk around at about like at least 15 feet from these people. I don't go near people when I walk, by the way.
Right.
I mean,
I walk off the sidewalk and stuff. So maybe I'm nuts, but at least I'm healthy.
Well, I mean, you're being careful. I'm
Yeah,
still,
very careful.
I'm back to performing. So I mean, it's
Well, where do you perform? I want to do a one-man show. There's no theaters open anymore around here.
we've got spots in Ohio. We just
Really?
yeah.
Chappelle's
Okay.
figured it out.
Chappelle lives 30 minutes from my house. He's doing it right
Does
in
he
his
do
backyard.
shows?
Yeah, he's doing
Yeah.
shows in his backyard right now. He's bringing in all
Oh,
kinds of
cool, man.
big
Is
name
that-
Wedding
talents.
venue.
Yeah. And so
That's
his
amazing.
neighbors.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, he's bringing
He's got
in
Dave
people like,
Letterman out there this week, I think.
yeah.
Um,
He's helping guys get work. He's basically keeping the entire town he lives in tested for COVID. I mean, Dave's rich as fuck. He's got the money to do this
Yeah.
crazy. He's spending, according to Donnell Rollins, he's spending $20,000 a week on COVID tests for people just to make sure everybody's safe and can. So I mean, there's
Wow,
there's
that's
people in
amazing,
there's
man.
ways to do it the right way. One of the things I'm
Yeah.
grateful for is that I follow Joe Rogan, because if I hadn't, I would have never connected the vitamins and stuff, because he talks to a lot of medical people,
So what does he say?
Well, the doctors
Vitamin
he's
D.
spoken to is large amounts of vitamin D supplements, like 5,000 IU's a day, which I'm taking. I'm also taking 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day plus my normal multivitamin.
Oh yeah, me too.
So,
I
I mean,
just take it
that's
by
it
my.
right
But
there.
I don't.
that
Great.
one thing, you do those few things, coupled with wearing a mask whenever you're outside and you wash your hands, you're probably not going to catch it.
Yeah.
Because
Staying
your body's going to be able to fight it off. There's
Wow,
there's
how do
one
you like
comic.
that?
There's one comic. What is that chubby bastard's name? Thick Boy Nation.
I don't know.
Oh Jesus! He's the dude who used to be the fighter. Not Brian Callen, the other guy.
Brendan Schwab.
Brendan Schwab. They both caught COVID down in Texas whenever they were performing, because they were dumb and hugging fans and fist bumping people, and Brendan Schwab took a shitload of vitamins, an IV pack once a day for 3 days, was done, had no problems. So I mean, there's ways that you can take care of this stuff, but you got to
Staying
be
healthy.
smart. Yeah,
Working out.
the older you are, the less you want to fuck with it. But that wasn't necessarily all the craziness that I was referring to. I mean, you've got the riots. There's so many crazy things that are going on. You've got the protests that are occurring along with the riots. Like, America's trying to burn itself down in the middle of a pandemic. That's why a lot of these guys are getting out of LA, because they're like, the only reason we were here was to work. There's no work, and everybody's trying to burn everything down. Why are we going to stay?
I guess. I mean, we can go on for
Ever about this ridiculousness. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
just
just like
amazing how
talking to
divided
different.
everybody is.
Well, and not only that,
That's what makes
it
me
amazes
crazy.
me how different everyone's experience is. You know, because you've given me one thing. I've talked to other people that I know in the Southern California area, totally different experiences than each other. Everybody's having their own experience with this. It's really weird. Really weird. But anyway, so enough of the depressing. The world is ending shit. Another one of your credits that I wanted to touch on is probably one of my all-time favorite TV shows, which was unfortunately out before I was born. But having the parents that I had, I definitely grew up watching reruns. Was WKRP in Cincinnati. How'd you like doing an episode
Wow.
on that show, man?
Well, I mean, I only played a bartender on that. I think I was on for like 40 seconds.
Right.
My friend Howard Hessman, who was the star of that, that's my only into that. I mean, he's one of my friends. I mean, now,
Mhm.
even now. I mean, we go back way before WKRP. We were up in San Francisco together doing shows, just
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
No,
So
was he with you
that's
in
why
Second City or no?
that's kind of why I was on. I just he was
Hmm.
on it, and I just, hey, get me on there. I need some money.
Well,
So he
Larry,
did.
what got you started acting? What got you into it to begin with?
What got me into it was I never want to do anything. I still don't want to do anything. I have no desire to. I have no aim, no goals in
Hmm.
mind. I just stay, which is because I have OCD, ADHD, and dyslexia all at the same time.
Oh, great.
I live in the now, totally in the now. I'm here with you, and that's all I know. So when I went to college, my best friend was Carl Gottlieb, who wrote one of your favorite movies, Jaws. So we kind of grew up
Yeah.
together.
That's
And
awesome.
so he said, I was in industrial design. So I graduated as industrial designer. And I was really good at it. I was kind of an A student, but I didn't like it. I just went to college to please my parents because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I said, oh, art. Okay. Art. So I don't know if you can see that. You see, that's one of my paintings back
Yeah,
there.
That's awesome.
we can see it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He said I was hired to do graduated college, and I was going to go to Detroit to design futuristic cars for
Nice.
Chevrolet, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. $75,000 a year to start.
Man, that's
When
not
was this?
bad.
Like the 60s?
That's not bad at all in the late 60s, 70s.
Yeah, that's great today.
Yeah, that's good to.
But Carl said he wanted to go to Hollywood because he wanted to write movies. No, he wanted to go to, we were going to Syracuse. No, he wanted to go to New York, to Greenwich Village, because he wanted to be a writer. And that was where all the writing was being done and all the publishing and stuff. So he said, why don't you come with me? Because I can't afford the rent. So, we can share a thing. So I said, okay. So I eschewed the money and Detroit, and I went to Greenwich Village with Carl, and we became roommates. So he was reviewing movies for these small papers. I mean, nothing that you would ever hear of. Neighborhood papers, 500, 1,000, 20,000 people. He was reviewing movies, but he was reviewing all the movies with all the big time, the New York Times and the Greenwich, Village Voice and stuff. And I was cleaning duck boards at 2 a.m. in a bar instead of going to Detroit. So I couldn't even pay the rent. He was going to these reviews, and they feed you as a reviewer, as a movie reviewer. You get a glass of wine, at least one glass of wine, red wine, and the frozen the bowls of cold shrimp. Just eat the cold shrimp. So what he would do in those days, they had linen napkins. I'm telling you how I got into show business. So he had linen napkins, and he'd take a handful of shrimp, cold shrimp, put it in a napkin, wrap it up, and put it in his suit pocket, because you had to wear a suit to those things back in them days. So, and he would bring it home to me, and then after that was my dinner. And so after about a month and a half, he would go to like at least five a week of these reviews. So after about a month and a half, he said, I can't do this anymore. I go, oh, why did you get caught? He said, no, my suit smells like fish. So he quit. So I started to get up on stage and do, because I was in Greenwich Village. I was going to all these coffee houses before going to work at 2 a.m. I had my whole day free and the whole night. I worked from 2 a.m. till 4 a.m. Till 6 a.m. when the chef came in and he let me out. They locked me in and I just cleaned. I don't want to see another peanut shell as long as I live. So I quit after 2 weeks and I started just because I was stealing food. I didn't want to be caught. So I quit, and then I started doing these stand-up because I would just get up and talk. And it was only 3 to 5 minutes as an open mic night. And audiences are really cool in open mic nights. If you're going to start in show business, go to open mic. I don't care if you can sing, if you can dance, whatever, because the audience are great. If you're not funny and you're a comedian, here's a comedian, Larry Hankin, and you get up there and you're not funny at all, which I wasn't. I wasn't funny at all. But they'll just wait. They won't boo, they won't hiss, they won't clap, they won't laugh, but they'll just sit there, mildly until you get off. Because it's only 5 minutes and they understand that it's open mic night. I mean, if they get something that's really great, it's a surprise to them. So they were really kind. And I would get up every night. There's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is open mic nights in Greenwich Village. And you would go around. First you do the early shows and then you go around and you do about 4 or 5 other open mic nights. And then you come back and you do the late show and you do it around. So you're working a lot at 5-minute clips at a time.
Right. Yeah.
So I was getting funnier and funnier because I won, the funniest in high school. So I figured I'm a funny guy. But working on a stage in front of an audience, I don't care who they are, is different than chatting with your friends and making them laugh. That's not the same. But I had a good learning curve. And after 6 months, I was opening for Woody Allen. So that was kind of cool.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was. So that was really great. And I had his manager. So I was opening in nightclubs and stuff. But I started to go towards, because now I was learning. Now I was watching all the comics and everything like that. And I was going toward Lenny Bruce was the top of the list, then George Carlin, then Richie Pryor. And I was doing not their stuff, but in that frame, in that point of view.
Right.
And I was starting to get booed. So now the audiences were getting angry. So there was Miles Davis. I was opening for Miles Davis. So his people loved me. He wanted me to tour Europe with him. I mean, he just thought you were the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I didn't want to leave the country. And then there was, then I would go open for the Kingston Trio at Jack's on the Highway in Boston. And that was different because there was a dance floor and there was a nightclub and the stage was only that high because, for the band and the dance floor. And in the middle of my routine where I'm doing all this, sex, drugs, and rock and roll stuff, a guy comes across a dance floor with a big Starker guy in a suit, but he looked like a lumberjack. And he had a beer bottle upside down in his fist. And he just said, "Get the fuck off the stage." Okay.
Wow.
Not my audience. Got it. And I just got off the stage. And the bar, I sat at the bar. I just, okay, man, you got it. And the bar says, "What are you doing, man? The Kingston Trio isn't coming on until 10 minutes, I said, "Well, did you see that guy come at me with the bottle?" He goes, yeah. Well, I mean, where's the bar? Where's the bouncer, man? He goes, "I'm the bouncer. Get back on the stage. You don't get paid." I go, "You're not going to take care of him? Just get back on the stage." I said, "No." He said, "You're not going to get paid." I said, "I'm not going." He said, "You're fired." I said, "Okay." And I walked out. So that's when I started to see that I wasn't prepared. I mean, Richie Pryor and those guys had to take that stuff, and others, even worse. I remember opening for the Lovin' Spoonful, and they were pulling the armrest, the wooden armrest, and these old seats, you can knock them off by hitting the back. And they were taking them off the first 2 rows, guys, only guys. Girls didn't throw these. And they were throwing them at me. Get off the stage. Shit. Yeah, and this was a college crowd. This was a Washington University. And I'm yelling at them as I'm ducking. I'm yelling, I thought this was college. I thought this was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What are you doing? And I see the guys in the back row, because now they had thrown all the stuff. The stage was littered with these armrests. The guys in the back rows are pulling their armrests off and passing them down like ammunition.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
So I'm yelling at them. I said, okay, I won't do that. I'll do clean stuff. Okay. And they stopped. Like they're listening to me. Like, oh, okay. As long as he's not cursing. Cool. He's cool. So I did, clean stuff, what I had, vestiges of clean stuff. And I'm doing it. And then when I got this big laugh, I said to them, the audience as a person, they go, oh, ha, 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 ha. And they go, okay, cool. Now we're back on the same page. So I'm going to go back to doing the God thing. I mean, that was what they stopped me on. I was doing God and penises at the same time. And so I went back to that, and they just started throwing them again. No, no, no. And then I see cops coming down on the aisle side, walk things.
Yeah.
On the aisle.
Oh my God.
On the wall aisles, coming up. 10 cops on this side and 10 cops on this side. They got this file, and they filed up on the stage, both sides, and they come at me, and I just waited there for them. I just thought, wow, what is going on, man? And the audience quieted down to see what was going to happen. And they just gently grabbed me on both arms, just like this and like this. They just grabbed me, and they escorted me off the stage. And 11 spoonfuls said, no, leave them out there. We want to riot. We want to riot. And they took me off stage, backstage. And then 18 of the cops left. They just disappeared. They just boom. And 2 cops stood backstage, this empty stage, backstage, behind the curtain. They closed the curtain. And they stood right next to me. And I said, why are you 2 here? They weren't holding me or anything. They're just standing there. And I go, what's going on? Should I be here? Why are you here? And he goes, we have to stay here with you until the Love and Spoonful gets their band set up and they start playing, because we don't want you to go back out there and people say you would if we didn't stand here. So I said, okay. So we kind of ran out of conversation, so we're just standing there until the Love and Spoonful got set up and the curtains opened and they started playing. And then they just walked away too.
Wow.
And I was just left there. So then, just to end the story, is the last coda to this, is and they say, hey, that was really cool, man. The Love and Spoonfuls. Hey, you should have stayed out there. You should have did the whole act. Yeah, but the cops came and blah, blah, blah. And we get on a plane and we're flying to Northwestern University, which is up in Michigan or Wisconsin, I forgot.
Yeah.
And we get up there and we land and we get on the bus and we go to the hotel and we check in and we're heading towards the elevator. There's 4 Love and Spoonful, me, and 2 managers. So that's 5, 7 people are walking and to the elevators, and 3 people get in our way. 3 gentlemen get in our way, stop and say, is this the Love and Spoonful party? And we go, yeah. Just like that, because we suspected something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, is there a Larry Hankin in the group? And then, before we could answer, the 2 managers stepped between the 3 gentlemen and us. The 3 gentlemen, by the way, was in full mufti, a priest, a police sergeant or police captain, and a man in a suit with gray hair who happened to be the dean of Northwestern. So they're the 3. So the managers get between me and us and them. And before they answered about if Larry Hankin is in the party, they said, what is this about? And the dean said, we have a call from Washington University. It turns out, it seems that you have a filthy mouthed comedian opening for the act. And we just gasped, man. They were serious, man. The cop was really serious, and so was the priest. They were very stern. And the 2 managers turned to us, backs to them, the gentleman, and they said, go up to Larry Hankin. No, he didn't say my name. He said, go up to his, they pointed to me, go up to his room, lock yourself in, don't open the door for anybody except us, and wait there. Okay, so we went to the elevator, and the two of them stayed there. About half hour later, they come back, maybe 20 minutes. They come back up and they knock on the door. Yeah, who is it? It's us. And with that, we were discussing while we were up there. We were discussing, are you going to do your act? You got to do your act, man. You got to. I mean, they just wanted a riot. They just wanted a riot.
Oh
So,
man.
you got to do your act, man. And I go, well, yeah, but I mean, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to get booed off the stage, and so maybe I'll clean, but I don't have enough clean material to do the whole set. So they said,
How
all
long
right,
was your
do
set
your
at
act,
that
do your
point?
act. And I said, okay, I'm going to do the fucking thing. What the hell? Okay, right. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So they knock on the door and they say, okay, here's the deal. We spoke to them. They don't want you to go on. They will not let you go on, except we talked to them and they said, okay, he can go on, but here's the rules. If he says anything untoward, anything filthy mouthed, then we are going to turn the lights on, turn the mic off. He's being dragged off the stage and we're canceling the show.
Holy, wow.
Wow. So they say, do your act, man. Do your act.
I could do it.
Okay.
I'm with
okay,
them at this point. I'm like, yeah, do it.
Do it. So I got out there. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the tension backstage was, including me, was, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hankin. And I go out on the stage and said, okay. And I just started doing my act, and I did the entire act, and it went great. Nothing happened.
What?
I mean, they laughed their asses off. There was a fine tune in the Love and Spoonful. Nothing. Absolutely fine. So you go figure, man. Show business.
Man,
However, I just got to say, in closing, the next gig was the guy with the beer bottle, and I called my manager and I said, "No, look, I'm a middle class Jewish guy. I'm not Lenny. I'm not Richie. I'm not Carl. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do this because it's not fun. I mean, I am up there for fun. I'm not up for the money. I like doing this. It's fun for me. But this is crazy, and I'm not Lenny, and so I don't know. So he immediately said, "Go join Second City. They're doing the same thing as Lenny, only they own the theater." So that's what I did. I auditioned for Lenny Bruce. For Lenny Bruce. No. I auditioned for I did know Lenny. I mean, we talked. Mm-hmm. He said, "They're blowing smoke up your ass, aren't they?" That was his entire encapsulation of what was going on when I explained it to him. So he said, so I joined Second City, and then everything was fine. And that's to answer your question, how did you get in show business?
Yeah.
I mean, man, I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping they would. I really wish that they were gonna have to like drag you off the stage.
Well,
Northwestern, like I was hoping.
Well, yes, Love and Spoonful too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a very dark and cynical comic. I'm one of the burn the fucking world down
Good
kind
for
of
you.
people.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Because it's all fucked anyway. We're just weird.
But I mean, look what happened to Lenny, man. Look what happened to Lenny.
Well, I'm actually. So what originally got me into podcasting? There's this odd correlation. Was 2 years ago, I had an idea with a friend to do one of these woke history podcasts, like all the kind of shit, kind of like what Oliver Stone did with the Untold History of America. But it was like, the way drugs have interacted with popular culture and been used as a tool by the government to control popular culture, right? Going all the way back to Billie Holiday. They killed the woman in a hospital bed, by long fucking story. But Lenny...
Didn't they just let her bleed out? They just let her bleed out.
Well, what happened was she had gotten sick. She went to the doctor. The doctor was like, "You're going to fucking die. We can try and save you, but we have to get you off the fucking heroin first. So we got to wean you off with methadone." And they started that process. And I mean, she was like on death's door. They were keeping her alive, basically in a bed, and people from Harry Anslinger's DEA showed up and said, "She's a drug addict. You can't give her any opiates," and pulled the fucking plugs out of her arm. Man. And immediately, and as a former heroin addict, that's fucking awful. When I quit heroin, I went cold turkey, and it was a week of fucking hell. Just absolute hell. So to have been addicted as long as she had been and been doing as much as she had been, she just fucking, her body finally gave out. Her liver couldn't handle it. Her heart couldn't handle it. She just done. So, that was kind of the vein of things. And it ended up not working out because people have commitment issues with things that they agree to do. But, come a year later, I finally decide I'm going to, do what I should have been doing and become a full-time comic. And started
As
a new
opposed to a heroin addict. Yeah, that's a cool choice. I would understand that. Yeah.
I was a salesman for 18 years, but for 10 years I was
that led to heroin.
the heroin actually was before the sales. I was
door-to-door salesman leads to drugs. I'm telling you.
I became a door-to-door salesman to get sober. So for 10 years though, it worked.
Okay, I can understand that. I
different place
that
every
totally.
week. How you going to get high? It's
Yes,
too hard.
exactly.
But I was basically a door-to-door comedian for 10 years, and then I quit doing that.
You and
tried to be normal. But whenever I started doing comic, I started writing stuff, and my wife was like, "This is kind of dark. I don't think people are gonna get it." And a lot of comics are like,
then, probably not.
Well, even now, I've had a lot of comics say you should start out with something lighter and happier, and I'm like, I don't think you understand. I can't. I'm in talks with this 100% clean club, and they're like, I don't know if you can do this. And I'm like, I don't either, but I really think I need to try to do a clean fucking 10 minutes, just fucking 10 minutes clean. Because my first joke is my first joke that I'm opening with right now is how I'm an albino. If I have most other jobs, I'm going to get skin cancer and die. So I'm a comedian where I may have a chance of getting, like another drug addiction or having a relapse of alcoholism. And, my wife would kill me if I caught an STD, but that's still possible. But I won't get cancer. That's cool. And it's taken me a while to even, get people nowadays to hit off of that. Which, man, if they like contextually heard the stuff that Lenny Bruce was talking about or any of those guys back in the day, they would be fucking horrified.
Like, well, I mean, but Lenny wasn't even doing stuff that bad. What he was doing was saying fucking shit on stage.
Right.
All.
Right. But in retrospect, the fact
that he was a drug addict had nothing to do with why they were pulling him up.
Right.
I was there, on stage when the cops came in. I wasn't on stage. He was on stage.
Right.
This is a nightclub in San Francisco. He was coming to San Francisco to play a stage show, and they were recording. The show that I was at is a film now. Is a documentary on Lenny Bruce. It's around. But anyway, the show that they have in the movie, I was at. So I saw him, and the cops came in. I don't know if they show it in the film, but but he wasn't talking about drugs. He was
the correlation I was making was even still now, even amongst the comedian group, you still have a lot of people who are just like, hey, don't do that thing that makes people uncomfortable, because that's what Lenny was doing, and that's
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, right. He's one of those guys. And there's a lot of comics who talk a lot of shit about that guy because he's a Brit who came to America and he talks shit about us. Well, I mean, a lot of what he says isn't wrong, and then you've got, the whole prior. One of my favorite things to point out to people whenever they're like, why are you so dark? And I'm like, have you not heard of the whole correlation of what happened between Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor? And look at how that all played out. You know what I mean? You had Pryor who was like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. I don't care if I get rich or if I get poor. I'm going to enjoy life. And Cosby was like, yeah, but you need to be clean. You need to do this. And it turns out Cosby was fucking out of his mind. Richard was crazy, but Richard didn't hide the crazy from you. We love Richard for that. Still, one of my favorite bits is the bit where he looks at his hand and he goes, wow, that's a pretty shade of blue. Like he fucking set himself on fire trying to kill himself and then joked about it a year after it happened.
Tried to kill himself. He just blew himself up.
Well, I mean, he said that's what he says in his autobiography. Man. That's what he says in his autobiography.
Oh, I mean, so that, okay. Then I understand it. He was saying I tried to kill myself like subconsciously.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
right.
probably more of what he meant. Well, he was so
Subconscious.
fucking high. You can't really
Yeah,
claim ownership
exactly.
of. He was talking to his fucking body.
Well, being a stand-up comedian is why I joined Second City. I just, you know,
It's
wasn't for me. Wasn't for me.
but
Right.
it's
I mean, it
certainly
is for me, but I couldn't take the heat, so I got out of the kitchen. It's very simple.
Well, it's not that it you know it hasn't worked out for you. I mean, you probably on one of my favorite episodes of Seinfeld ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
pilot.
me too.
You get I'm sure, but that whole little bit that they did whenever I was younger, I loved that shit because that was such a new idea of having a show on TV. Basically, have the people on the show try and make the same show that they're doing and put it out to Hollywood and like it was an inception of a fucking TV show. And I didn't know this. And I didn't know this until, you know, I found out I had the opportunity to talk to you. You fucking tried out for Kramer. And in the pilot, you get the part of Kramer, right? Isn't that how that worked out? Something along
I
those.
auditioned for. See, I'm not an actor. I never wanted to be an actor. I still don't want to be an actor. I want to. I want to write stuff that I can memorize myself.
Right.
So I would be acting in stuff that I write for myself. But I'm not. I'm not an actor. Never wanted to be an actor, and I can't act. I can only pretend. I mean, but I can't do the stuff, the roles that actors do. Roles, you know.
Yeah.
Seriously. So when I got Kramer, I just lucked out is really what I did. And I knew Michael Richards. He's the one who suggested me to imitate him. But when I auditioned for the role of Kramer before Kramer existed, you know, when they just wrote it, I auditioned and Michael Richards auditioned for it. And since I never wanted to be an actor, I have no ego about it. I just want the best person to get it, because if I don't get it, I'm going to watch it, and I'd like to watch somebody who's great. So I auditioned, and I thought I was really good. And then Michael Richards auditioned for it, and I guess he was really great because he got the part. And I always watch, back in them days, I always watched the show that I auditioned for and didn't get, because I wanted to see, always wanted to see who got it.
Why they got it,
you know, and why they got it, and what I should do to, you know, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to be an actor, at least to get these parts. And when I saw Michael Richards doing it, I went, they gave it to the right guy. I don't do it that way. He goes over the top and I go under. He's over and I'm under. So they picked the right guy, and I have no qualms about that at all. And then when they wanted a replacement, well, I mean, you know, a guy to imitate him for that show, Michael Richards said, well, then get Larry. I mean, he auditioned for the original. He looks like me, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the ironic thing about it all is that Michael Richards and I became friends because way before Seinfeld was even a twinkle in anybody's eye, we were auditioning for the same parts for years.
Yeah.
You know, we would see each other in audition rooms. Sometimes he would get it. And then one time we both got the same parts. We were brothers in a sitcom, a restaurant sitcom. I don't remember the name of it, but we robbed the place. We robbed the restaurant, and then so that's how we became friends. So we knew each other for at least 2 years before, you know, Seinfeld ever happened. So I didn't mind when he got it. And so I don't function that way. I'm not an actor. If he got a stand-up gig and ahead of me or instead of me, the stand-up gig, yeah, that I wouldn't mind. Hey, no, I'm funnier than him. Hey, what does he do? But no, when he got it, I thought, no, that's really cool. I could never come up with coming in the door like he did. I mean, that was just his shtick.
I mean, it was my favorite character on the show. That's part of what made, you know, the pilot episode one of my favorite episodes. Was the season finale on season 4. You know, I'm a nerd, man. Like that's one of the reasons I love being a comic, is I get to write all this ridiculous shit and have fun. And I haven't even and I love Michael Richards. He's absolutely fucking hilarious. But I think you would have
Well,
done.
not as a stand-up comedian. I'd like to just interject right there. He was great at Kramer. He made me. I've fallen on the floor trying to just be like him back home. You know, just trying to. How does he do that? How does he? So he's great. But no, I've watched. I've been in attendance because he was my friend. I haven't seen him in years. But you know, I've gone to his shows. He wasn't that good. I mean, we're talking comedy now.
Yeah,
He wasn't that good. And then when he got a heckler, he didn't know how to respond. That was his downfall. It wasn't his material. His material was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. You know, he's a funny guy. But when he got hecklers, he just appled, I guess is what they called it. He just got all nervous and stuff. And just went crazy on the guys or girl. No girls ever on guys. And that's what his downfall was. But he was a great comic actor. Have you ever seen on Friday? A comedy show before Seinfeld ever happened. There was a funny show called Fridays. It was just sketch comedy. And he was on it. He was funny as hell. He really was. But he was doing kind of the Seinfeld stuff.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Definitely.
Fridays? Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much. Every day I keep finding more crap I gotta try and listen to or watch, or it never stops. It just never stops.
Yeah.
So what do you?
Go ahead.
No. What were you gonna say?
No, nothing. Really, I have nothing to say.
That's fine. Me either. That's why I'm a comic. None of it has to make sense. I just get to babble. My wife asked me one time why I became a comic, and I was like, well, you always say I talk too much.
Yeah, there you go.
So what are you up to now? I mean, I know it's kind of hard. Hey, you're back. I wasn't going to mention that you dipped out since you were quiet the whole time.
He probably went to the loo, right? You know, something.
No, our show is just the king of technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's
a Wi-Fi connection. You know, we got 4 kids.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm doing now is basically I just finished a screenplay that I wrote for myself. See, that nice. I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard because I'm not an actor, and it's a part that I wrote a movie that I could be in, not the lead, but that I could be in.
Are you directing this
too? I wrote it, but say that again?
Is the plan to direct this one too?
I would love to, because I think I know more about the script as a director than I do as an actor memorizing lines. But I wrote it to be in it, and then as I write it, you just got to write where the story takes you, really. I mean, once you get past 10 pages, it starts to give you kind of directions. And by the end of it, the part that I wrote for myself was actually an acting part. I mean, it got a little bigger than I wanted it to be for me. I just wanted to lay back and, you know, be the writer.
Relax.
Yeah, not but uptight. So the part that I wrote for me is now it's between me and a good actor, and because I have to learn lines, and so I may have to rewrite it. If it gets sold and they want me to do it, I would have to rewrite my part to be a little less and maybe put a voiceover about my part. I don't know. But anyway, so I finished that. So I'm sending it out now. So I got a screenplay going. And then I'm writing a book in a very kind of unique way, kind of relating to what we're doing here. I was doing podcasts ever since El Camino. You know, they wanted me to do podcasts to sell the show.
Yeah.
Right.
El Camino. And I got hooked on them. I thought, hey, this is great. These are great. These podcasts are great. You get to talk. You don't have to memorize anything. And then you talk about stuff that you know about because they want to talk to you about stuff you know about. So I was doing that. And then now I'm just doing it, you know, because I'm Larry Hankin, and they go, hey, he's, you know, he's a talented guy. He's been on. I've seen him. So let's talk to him. And I started to like them. So and they would ask me about, you know, what I did in show business. Like, you know, hey, what's it like acting with Clint Eastwood? What's it like acting with, you know, Michael Richard? What's it like, blah, blah, blah. What's it like? So I would tell these stories. And it suddenly dawned on me, this would make a great book. And other people said that, you know, hey, I heard those stories you told. They'd make a great book. So I called one of the, this is about 3 months ago. I called one of the podcasters, the interviewers, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, we did a really good podcast. The stories that I told? Yeah. Well, could we just record them once a week? I mean, I'll just call you up once a week and I'll tell you another story. And you just record them and bank them. So we've been doing that for 3 months. So
That's
once
awesome.
a week, we talk for an hour and a half. I tell him stories and he records them. And so now I'm listening to them. And, now I'm going to put them into a book form. But I also figured out, wow, some of these would make a great one-man show, just me telling the stories in person. But there's no theaters open right now around here in Southern California that I can book and go into. What I'm looking for is a small black box to just work it out,
Yeah.
Right.
So there's one about 10 blocks from me. Now they're closed, but they're so small. I think it's like less than 90 seats. I think maybe 70, maybe. But it's a little theater, and they were doing well. They would be half full sometimes full. I would go there just to watch, when I have nothing to do one night. They're open 7 nights a week. So I called them and I said, hey, what would it cost to book, maybe 3 nights, something I could just try this stuff out. And they said, hey man, we like you so much that, we'll charge you next to nothing just to have you in on these empty nights, a slow on a Monday night or Tuesday night, which is fine with me. Just to get up on the stage, you're a stand-up guy.
You got to work it out.
Working it out. Even if there's 3 people, you're still working it out. So that's what I'm trying to do, but I'm waiting for this COVID thing to die down so they open the theater again, and then I got a place to work out. And I really love being a stand-up. I mean, I just love being up on stage in front of real people, knowing what's funny and what's not funny. I work on it. The only thing I can't do, which you can do, but I can't write material. I can't. I've tried it. I can talk it.
What do you mean?
I mean, I know how to
can't write material.
I can't. What I'm telling you now, like one of those 2 stories I told you about, whatever I told you, on this show. I could never write that. I was telling you because it was coming from my memory of the pictures. When I talk to you, I have the picture of what I'm saying, and I just tell you as I'm re-unfolding that whole thing. But writing is different. Writing, like when I wrote my screenplay, that's contemplation. You think about your next line. Right. But when I talk on a stage, it's like talking to an interviewer or a podcast. I don't. I just get up on stage and tell you the pictures that are in my head from something that really happened. And I just describe it to you. So it's not memorization, it's description.
So you don't write it down.
I can't write description.
Stage. Okay.
Because once you write something down, the next thing you write, you think, I think. Depends on what I just wrote before that. That takes contemplation. Well, if I said this, what would be the best thing to, and in speeches, writing is like that. You contemplate. I would sit for 3-4 minutes just contemplating what the next speech is going to be for my next character. And it's a really good screenplay, but that's how I write, and it's not how I do stand-up. Stand-up, I just get up and describe what happened. 2 different ways of, because I guess writing is, to me, imaginary. And talking is real.
Okay.
So, hey, I just explained it to myself. I never, I couldn't see if I tried to write that, it would take me 2 days. Well, see, that's what I'm talking about.
So can I ask you real quick? I got 2 things that drive me nuts. What do you think is the greatest thing you did in your career, your greatest accomplishment? I
stand up. No question about it.
Just stand up.
My stand up. When I was opening for say, and I'll even give you the best parts. Miles Davis. Opening for Miles Davis and opening for Woody Allen in the beginning. But Miles Davis, I was doing the raw stuff. I was just doing what was in my head. I mean, nothing dark, but funny. And you can mildly die. It was sex, drugs, rock and roll,
Sure.
Just that was, but those days, as far as an actor go, then okay, Miles Davis, opening for Miles Davis, and then the committee. Constantly, I was in the committee for 10 years, which is Second City. In other words, I was in Second City for 6 months, and there was too many people on the stage. They had 9 people in the show when I was in. And so it was Jack Burns was with me. I don't know if you know who Jack Burns is, but maybe you know what he wrote. He created Hee Haw. You know that show?
Yeah.
He wrote it. Well, we were in Second City together, and me and him were the last hired, first fired. So we were, and he went to Hollywood and immediately, as he was fired, and he went to Hollywood from Chicago and wrote Hee Haw. I mean, just like that. I think about sometimes 6 months later, Hee Haw was on the air.
Getting fired sometimes the best thing you can have happen to you.
And then exactly, that's my go-to. Oh, I'm being fired. Cool. That's my go-to. I don't get uptight about it. So I left. I went back to New York. No. I stayed in Second City, fired, and then Second City from New York.
Oh, okay.
3 people from Second City in New York. So I was in Second City in Chicago. 3 people, Alan Meyerson, who was the director, and 2 other people, quit Second City in New York, came through Chicago, and heard about Larry Hankin, who I auditioned for Alan Meyerson. So he knew me. He said, I think they sent him to Chicago. I auditioned for him. So he came in, he said, hey, Larry, he said, I was downstairs. I'd been fired. I was just at liberty for 2 weeks in Chicago, sleeping on people's couches, figuring what the hell am I going to do now? And he says, and I was in the bar, Second City, just hanging. And the guy comes out from a snowstorm. And he comes in, he says, is there Larry Hankin here? Yeah, me. Why? There's a car outside, wants to talk to you. So I run out upstairs in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah, there's a car. There's a snowstorm outside, and there's this station wagon packed with people. There was 7 people in there, plus the roof was packed with valises and just, looked like they were going to South America for you.
That's far.
So I look at it, and there's Alan driving, and I didn't know the other people at all. Oh, and there was 2 kids in there, 7 people and 2 kids sitting on the. I said, "What do you want?" I recognized Alan. He said, "We're going to San Francisco. We're going to open our own show.
Nice.
These are players from New York. You want to get in? Hop in." I go, "Man, I don't. I got a suitcase and somebody's near somebody's couch. I can't do that. I don't know. Send me a plane ticket. I don't know what the hell you people are doing." I mean, I just said, "Look, so," and it's snowing, and it's I said, "No, this is too crazy. It's a little too crazy." So they drove off into this snowstorm, and I went back to New York and starved. I think I went. I don't know what I did. Oh, I open mic nights, I guess, or just taking little gigs. And I get a phone call from Alan Meyerson about 3 months later. He said, "Okay, we've raised money for your plane ticket. Come on out. We need you." Okay, fine. So a plane ticket, fine. So I flew out, and he had rented one railroad apartment. That's a real, long hallway.
Yeah.
Rooms.
Right.
So we rented it. So we were all living there together. 7 adults, 3 kids, 8 including
Kids
me.
with you. That's amazing.
Well, I was 2 2 married couples in these, and they were all actors. In other words, the male and the female in the marriage were both committee Second City actors, but they had 2 kids, and one had one. No, they both had 2 kids. Amazing. So anyway, we all lived together, and we opened the show, and then after about a year, there was a line around the block. So, and from that on, that was my greatest. I mean, because I was consistently every night, we, the company, were at the top of our form.
Yeah.
The fall down, the shakeout from that was amazing. On a high note, was every once in a while somebody took a vacation to go down to Hollywood because it was only $30 round trip. I mean, maybe 35.
Yeah.
Round trip to New York. So somebody would take like 3 days off to go either audition or to look for an agent back there.
$35.
Yeah, round trip. So So you can take off in improvisation, which was the great thing because there's no script; it's all improv. But if if you two are improvising something and one of you wanted to go to Hollywood, I could step in and either improvise your part because I heard it every night,
Right.
or I could improvise something close to it because it was improv, and you would the other guy would
Just
be
plays off
okay
of
with it
Mhm.
and re-improvise with me.
Mhm.
And then when you came back, you'd go back to the old way, or you pick up something that I found funny and use it in
Yeah.
that thing. So it's really cool. So they would go down, and so but it was really hard going down there and trying to get in to get a manager or an agent is almost impossible. Even then, now it's forget it. You can't
Yeah.
do it. But for $35, all the big hitters, because we were as funny as Second City. We had a big reputation after about 5 years. So that's like 70, 65. Yeah. So we had a big reputation. So all the heavy hitters wanted to see the show. Now they couldn't fly to Chicago because that was really expensive,
Yeah.
but they could for $35 fly up, stay over a night in a hotel, see San Francisco, and fly back. And it's just $200 for heavy hitters. I'm talking about green light guys.
Yeah.
Well, we had a hit show, and no, we couldn't get into the green light guys if we went down to Hollywood. They would fly up and see us in a hit show of our own at our best. And so we were being hired like crazy every week. Somebody else would go down and do a sitcom and fly back, and somebody else would fill in
Holy cow.
because it was an improv show. So it was easy peasy. It was no, and we were making a lot of money off stage, just flying down. And finally, Laverne and Shirley, Penny Marshall
Yeah,
was
they
one of
call it.
the heavy hitters who came up. She was in Laverne and Shirley. That was a huge hit. She came up. She goes back. I get a call from her production company. Hey, Larry Hankin. Yeah, well, Laverne came up. She saw you in the show. We're doing a prom night. Laverne and Shirley. She needs a dance partner. You're the tall guy in the show, right? Yeah, the physical comedian. Yeah. Well, yeah, come on down. We want to, you're in the show. Come on down for rehearsal, blah, blah. So I went. So, and by doing that, I had to get an agent to book, to handle the contracts. Since it was Laverne and Shirley and a sure thing, I mean, I was hired. I got an agent immediately, one phone call. Yeah. Boom. Hey. And the rest is history, and so if you see that this IMDb list of me and all these hit shows, that's not me. I just auditioned. That's my agent sending me to these shows.
Yeah.
However, I got to say that they weren't hit shows when I auditioned. None of them were. They were just shows. They became hit shows long after I was in them, but I happened to be like Friends. I was in the show before it ever became a show, before it was ever on the air. Now it's a big hit show, and Mr. Heckles is a very famous guy.
Yeah,
what?
Right. Like you were doing it months ago, and then it finally becomes a hit.
Well,
By
no,
the
I
time
mean,
it becomes a hit,
I was in the show. They shot 6 shows before it ever went on the air.
Right.
Before it ever went on the air. And I said, well, when will I be on? Because I want to watch it,
Sure.
Right.
Well, when will this go on? And they said, well, we don't know when anything is going to go on. It hasn't been the total green light. They gave us the money to shoot 6 shows. Now they're going to watch them. And then we're going to pick the funniest to be the opener. And then we'll arrange the others in some sort of order, which we don't know yet. So there was nothing known about the show when I went on. We were all equal. We were all just actors trying to make a living, just trying to get a job.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's worldwide now.
Right.
It's, I'm famous all over the world for Mr. Heckles. Crazy.
Mr. Heckles. But like
Crazy.
before Mr. Heckles, I wanted to ask too about this was like you were nominated for an Academy Award
Yeah.
and for Sully's Diner.
Yeah.
And so how did that come about? You go from being this bit part in these things, and then you're directing and writing your own short film, and then it gets recognized by the Academy. I mean, didn't that feel like that's when you made it? Like Your peers?
No,
No.
no, you kind of think that. I mean,
Mhm.
but you kind of think that. I mean, me. I'm talking only about me because
Sure.
because of my dyslexia and OCD and ADHD, I look at things in a really kind of skewed way that isn't quite right. And I learned this over the years. Because
Mhm.
when I was born and growing up until the age of 20, there was no such thing as OCD, ADHD, or
Right.
dyslexia. There was no name for that. And so after it became named, I started to work my way around it and began to cope with this point of view that was skewed. So
Mhm.
how did that happen? I did Escape from Alcatraz.
Mhm.
And I was in Second City and we were making $500 a month. And I was spending it as fast as it came in. I was paying my rent, and then the rest was for food, and then I would just spend it because I wanted to be there for the rest of my life. So,
Mhm.
you know,
That's all you needed.
so yeah,
Mhm.
that's all I needed. And I was a single guy and cool, and all right. And I was popular. I was getting, uh, you know, if place was crowded, oh Larry, come on in, boom, I'd get a seat. So it's like, a big fish in a very small pond. So then I did Escape from Alcatraz, and I got $35,000 for that. After starving, I mean, I was just, in Second City, and then the committee, and then $500 a month, and then a week. So so it was so much money that I was cashing the checks or just saving the checks. I didn't even have a bank account. I was saving the checks in my sock drawer. And they were piling up and piling up. And I paid off all my debts. I bought a transportation vehicle, but this money was piling up. And finally, I opened up a bank account, put it in, and I looked at it. Oh my God, I had so much money. So I thought, well, I'll do a film short. That's where I
Mhm.
got. I had money because that was way beyond anything I could think of before that point.
Right.
So I thought I'll do a film short. But I didn't know what, and I was looking around for an idea. I was talking to my other friends because I was still I was in Hollywood, but I still was friends with the committee people who had all gone down way before me. I mean, I was the last to go. So I was talking to them. I said, "Yeah, I want to write a film. I've got all this money from Escape. So what can I do?" So Anna Mathias, whose husband was a cinematographer, and she was in the committee at one point. She said, well, my husband is a cinematographer. Well, he isn't a cinematographer. He's a camera operator. He wants to be a cinematographer, but he doesn't have a reel for cinematography. He doesn't have a credit for cinematography. Why
Mhm.
don't you write a screenplay and let him be the cinematographer? See, then he can use your script, your movie, your film short as a reel and a cinematographer credit, and he can become a cinematographer. So why don't you write it? And I thought that was okay. Gave me another little hint in a direction. And I always wanted to be, I always loved Chaplin. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to be a homeless guy because Chaplin was a homeless guy. Nobody ever said that to me, ever. I don't think nobody ever
Mhm.
said that about Chaplin, ever. That he was a homeless guy. They always say he's a little tramp.
Mhm.
Tramp schmip. He's homeless. What are you talking
Right.
about?
Right.
What are you talking about? So I would say, well, what are you trying to do? I said, well, I'm trying to be, Chaplin, not Chaplin, the ballet dancer,
Right.
the incredible genius. I was trying to be homeless when I say
Mhm.
Chaplin, and they say
Right.
tramp. I say no, homeless, tramp, homeless, tramp, homeless. So they say no, that's ridiculous. No, you can't do that. Homeless is not good. It was like saying fuck.
Right.
It was
Right.
verboten. Nobody wants to see that. That's what they told me. Nobody wants to see a homeless guy. You know who told me that? This is a secret just between me and you. I can't. He's my best friend. But the guy who wrote Jaws, Carl, my best friend, my roommate from Greenwich Village, when I told him the story I wanted to tell about, I'm going to do a thing. It's called, I don't know what it was, Sally's Diner, because I'm shooting it at Sally's Diner where I eat all the time.
Mhm.
He said, what's the story? I said, I'm going to be homeless, and I'm going to be a homeless guy like Chaplin and go in and try to get food, and then a
Mhm.
guy holds the place up and I'm going to save them from holding up, just like Chaplin. And he said, well, Chaplin, you're not Chaplin. I said, no, 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 I'm not Chaplin. I'm homeless. That's the whole thing. That's the only connection.
Yeah.
That I'm homeless, but a homeless guy saves and gets a meal out of it. You get that? And he says, nobody wants to see homeless. That was all he said. I mean, it's the guy who wrote one of the biggest movies ever. Nobody wants to see that. So it really kind of discouraged me for a second. But then Harry called me. He says, I hear you're writing a movie for me that I'm going to direct, that I'm going to shoot. And he shamed me into keep writing it. So that's what I did. I wrote it. It was 20 minutes long, 20 pages long. And he said, no, it's too long. Cut it down. So I cut down to 10 minutes. And then he said, okay, let's do it. And I said, well, how much will it cost? And he said, $5,000 or something like that, which I had cash, $5,000. So that's how I got to make the show. This is just a side thing about money in those days, being poor and stuff. So I took the $5,000, and what he wanted me to do was, he said, it's going to cost $5,000 to shoot this thing. So when you have $5,000, call me. Because right after you get $5,000, it's 2 weeks and we go. I mean, what we're waiting for, even though we don't have anything, is the money. Once you have the money, everything else shows up. So it'll be a while. So I had the $5,000 and I figured, how can I give it to him? Because I like Beau Gests. I really like Beau Gests. So I got a small brown paper bag, smaller than a shopping bag, but one of those.
Yeah.
And I took the $5,000 in cash, small bills, and I put it in this brown paper bag, and I rolled it up. And I walked over to his house. He didn't live very far from me. I walked over to his house. I remember exactly, it was 6 o'clock because he was eating dinner. That's how I remember. Knock on the door, and Anna came to the door. Oh, hi, Larry. What do you want? I want to talk to Harry. And she said, oh, he's eating dinner now. We got a rule. No, nobody can disturb us during dinner. I said, no, this is really important. No, I'm sorry. Come back later. Come back in about an hour. I say, no. She says, well, what is it? I want to give him this. She says, well, give it to me. I'll give it. No, I got to give it to him myself. So she goes, oh, please. I'll just walk in. I'll give it to him and I'll walk out. I won't talk to him. Anything, please. It's very important to me. All right. I hear him. Anna, who's at the door? It's Larry. He just wants to give you something. Okay, yeah. So I walk in. I go, hi, Harry. Here. Okay, I'll see you. And I left. And she walks me to the door, and she shuts the door. And as I'm walking home, I'm saying, I didn't get a receipt or anything. There's no trace of what I just did. What did I just do, man? And for the next 2 days, and he didn't call me back or nothing. And so I'm for 2 days, man, I'm thinking, $5,000? What did I do? What schmuck, man? What are you doing? He calls me back. He says, okay, I got my crew. They're doing it. They're going to do it for free, or I think for $1. They're going to be with you. It's got to be shot at night. So just be ready for that. Get your 2 characters. There's 2 other characters besides me in the movie. He says, get your 2 other actors. Start rehearsing. We shoot in 2 weeks. Boom, and he hung up. And that's how I did the movie. And then when we finally finished it, I wasn't satisfied with it. I didn't like it at all, because what I had seen was the color corrected version with the grease pencil marks and the X's on it, and the no color correction, and cut here with arrows and stuff. Yeah. And I thought it was awful. I know, I don't. So he said, I said, don't hand it in. And the whole reason we did it was to hand it in to get an Academy Award. And he goes, so I said, well, yeah, but I got to hand it in. That's why we did it. And I said, no, don't. He said, okay. And he hung up. About 4 weeks later, I don't know, 5 weeks later, he says, but okay, we'll continue doing the color correction. I said, yeah, because I had paid for the whole thing. So do it, but don't hand it in. He says, okay. He hung up. About a month later or so, I get a call. Hey, Larry, I got some good news and I got some bad news. Okay, what's the good news, man? Because I forgot about it, He says, what was it? Oh, no. No, he said, yeah. I said, what's the bad news first? I want to get that out of the way. I think everybody would do that, right? Let's get the bad news out of the way and wait to the good. He said, yeah, well, okay, what's the bad news? He said, well, the bad news is I got it color corrected. I sent it in. Sent it in where? To the academy. Oh, no, man. Now, here's what I thought. And this is about the dyslexia, blah, 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 blah. I thought, and there's no place where I picked this up. This is all in my own brain, that if you hand in something to the academy and it's rejected, you can never hand in anything else ever again. I don't know where I got that from, but I believed it. And when he said he handed it in, I hit the roof and the floor at the same time. I go, no, man, what? You know, God damn it, no, man. All right, so fine, great. Now, what's the good news? It got accepted. So I put my hand over my mouth. I went, and into the phone, I said, okay, man, but don't do that again, okay? If I say don't hand something in, don't hand something in, okay? But okay, cool. Bye. And I just romped around the room for a while.
Man.
So, yeah, that's how it happened.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
I guess, you know. So I thought, you know, well, here, it's easy street from now on. And I also sent it into the, what's the thing in Italy? The
Cans?
No, Cannes.
No, that's France.
Yeah, yes, Cannes, France.
Yeah.
I sent it into Cannes, and it got in. It got into the storybook section, where I got a lot of feedback, or people wanted to distribute it from France and Yugoslavia and Japan. There's, oh yeah, but I never got back to them because I wasn't there yet. I didn't have my shit together. I didn't. It was just, you know, Yugoslavia and Japan were too far away to even bother with, to even think about. So I just, you know, that was probably the worst decision of my life, not sending it into Cannes, but I mean to the distributors off of Cannes. But other things happen, you know. I mean, I don't believe in you get one shot. Who cares?
Life's an adventure.
Exactly.
Continual shot.
Exactly. So I don't let, you know, okay, fine.
Well, where can people stay current on what you're working on, Larry? Because as much as I hate to say this, we've definitely hit the the end.
Okay,
which means
cool,
we got to
guys.
do more. We got to do more because I know I could keep going, but I
could go all day with you, man.
More recordings and a daughter and all kinds of wonderful life obligations.
You bet.
I got a
Me
plane
too.
to catch.
Fuck, I hate being an adult. But so we're definitely going to have you back on again. But where can people follow you? Where can people find you?
Here's the only commercial. TheRealLarryHankin.com.
All right.
Go to TheRealLarryHankin.com. It's got my paintings, my prints, my movies, my own movies that I make, my little film shorts, my bio, T-shirts are coming up in a week and a half. All my paintings, 44 paintings and prints, are going to be on T-shirts.
Awesome.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, because people saw them, and the paintings were a little too expensive, but the T-shirts are right down their alley. And they said, if those were on T-shirts, we'd buy them. So what do you think I did? I made them T-shirts. Okay, and that's it. And then, you know, Cameo. If you want me to wish somebody a happy birthday, go to Cameo. Cool. Wish happy birthday, a graduation, wedding, whatever. That's it.
Well, awesome. We'll make sure we include the links in the description. Thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Larry.